Good evening, folks. Thank you all for tuning in for tonight's special. I will be your host, Matthew Harris, and tonight we'll have 5 completely different people explaining all about the Huang He River Valley up in China. And to start you off, I'm going to send you over to my good friend, Andrew Johnson.
The Shang dynasty was a monarchy in which the king was both lawmaker and judge, so no one dared to argue with him. He ruled by force, and anyone who transgressed the king's laws would be killed immediately by his soldiers. They had many levels of leaders starting with the king. Most of the high-level officials were closely related to the king. Warlords often ruled areas of land, but owed allegiance to the king and would provide soldiers during time of war. The Shang dynasty had a group of social classes that included the upper class, which consisted of artisans and the military. The middle class consisted of aristocrats and craftsmen, and the lower class consists of the peasants. They were the majority of the population. The Shang dynasty had an ancient belief, which was called the Mandate of Heaven. It was basically a justification system that implied 3 major things. The right to rule is granted by the gods. This gave the ruler religious power. The right to rule is only granted if the ruler cares about his people more than he cares about himself. This gave the rulers secular power, or power over the people. And the right to decide what is good for the people, because the ruler must care about the people, or the gods would remove from his ruler. The right to rule is not limited to only one dynasty or family. A dynasty can be replaced. This justified rebellion. When a new leader leads a successful rebellion, he must have the support of their gods, or he would not be allowed to rule, because it was the gods who chose the rulers. This Mandate of Heaven ended up going in a huge cycle of rulers in different dynasties. Now off to our art and architectural historian, Matt Harris.
The Huang He River Valley civilization had intricate architecture designs and layouts. Homes were made mostly out of wood and rammed earth and were made with specific patterns. The homes were rectangular in shape and placed in rows, almost like modern-day neighborhoods. Surrounding the homes were earthen walls that offered a source of protection. Water wheels were used to grind any grain used for food. And in each city, in the middle, there was a large palace built for the emperors. The kings were buried in tombs built into valleys, and each tomb had several chambers. One chamber was for the king's servants to be buried there when they died. Another was for the weapons to protect the king after death, and the third was the coffin and where the king would be buried. After the tombs were built and filled, the tombs were covered in dirt and made to look like large dirt mounds. Most of the art found in the valley was a form of high-quality pottery or jars. A lot of sculptures were made out of bronze, which is a prized material, along with jade. Traces of paper was found, and we can tell that it was man-made, but a lot of the art was drawn or painted onto wood, not paper. Some of the writing of the time began to appear on sculptures and pottery. The Huang He River Valley had very little written records found, so archaeologists relied heavily on art and architecture to tell a story of one of the oldest civilizations known to man.
Thank you, Andrew and Matthew. That was very nice. And now I'll send you over to another one of my friends, Dan Gill.
Okay, we're here at the Huang He River, one of its most peaceful days. During about 50 BC, you would see about 50 to 100 Shanghai dynasty workers farming and tilling this land to make any money that they could. Mostly, their economy depended on agriculture based on this river. They also depended very little on the Silk Road because of the mountains that shielded them and the river that you can see here that somewhat protected them. They were mostly safe, but there were at times attacks from these rivers into the village.
Thank you very much, Dan. That was very interesting. And now Jack Gordon is going to tell us a little bit about the geography of the land.
The Huang He River Valley, also known as the Yellow River, consists of the hills of Laos and much other farmland. It is 3,395 miles, or 5,464 kilometers. The source of the river is the Bayan-Har Mountains, and the mouth is the Gulf of Bohai. Some cities it runs through is Luoyang, Jinan, Zhangzhou, Kaifeng, and Wuhai.
Thank you very much, Jack. That is very helpful. And now we go to, last but not least, another man named Dan.
Hello. Let's get straight to archaeology and oracle bones of the Huang He River civilization. Now, oracle bones were animal bones or tortoise shells that were inscribed with the Huang He written picture language. Now, to understand the picture language, it was very simple because you could speak any language, be from anywhere. You didn't even have to know words. You didn't have to know any words. You could just know pictures. You could simply read normal Huang He civilization picture writing. Now, these inscriptions were put onto these animal bones or tortoise shells, and they were then left out for ancestors, the Huang He civilization ancestors, to read, and then later the leader of the church or the emperor, either one of them, would take the bone or tortoise shell, dip it in hot water, take it out, and they would read the crack that was left from the extreme heating. Now, these oracle bones have been able to help us understand the religion and the culture of the Huang He civilization. Now, they've been able to help us understand that these people were polytheistic. They believed in a supreme god called Shangdi, but they also believed in their ancestors and how they watched over them, they protected them, and they were dependent. These oracle bones also showed us that they were dependent on bronze. And bronze was used for almost everything. Bronze and jade. These were the two main pieces of Huang He civilization, of their culture and their religion. They most likely got this bronze from trading on the Silk Road, but the jade probably most likely came from the mountains that surrounded their civilization. Now, these bronze vessels, you could see them in almost every house imaginable. Every house had a vessel of bronze. But these jade was a gemstone you would only see that an emperor had, the emperor's right-hand man, the leader, the second, the third in command, maybe probably the 4 lower people below the emperor. Now, because of this, they had these beautiful jade sculptures. Each of them, you could find a jade dragon, a jade bull. You could find a jade sculpture on anything. Now, these people that were these people that were in the top of the government hierarchy, they were the ones that had them. Now, they would have them almost everywhere. They had them in their houses. They most likely had them on necklaces. But they mostly had them with them at death. They kept these jade statues at death. And also bronze vessels. The emperor was the only one that was allowed to have at least over 500 bronze vessels, 25 jade sculptures, and the bronze vessels were almost certainly used to hold water so that their tomb would remain hydrated. But yeah, that is all I have for today. Now, I'm going to leave Gordo to whip us in to some of the bloopers from today's newscast.
Hello, I'm Jack Gordon.
I hate you. My hair is messed up again.
This would be a perfect intro.
Spider! that. And all the acne on your forehead. The Yellow River and much other farmland.
It's like that mustache. It just stares in my soul.
Same.
It tickles.
Same.
Can you see it on the camera? My mustache.
No.
Okay, good.
Okay. So, what's your face right now?
When your teacher says you're gonna call your parents.
What?
When your teacher says you're gonna call your parents, but you gave her their number for Pizza Hut.
Agreed.
My God!
During 5.
Can't do this. We can't do this.